Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Well, here we are, and I'm waiting for Sam to arrive, and he's obviously not with us. What a shame, because I was looking forward to doing a show with Sam this afternoon.
Wait, Drew.
What's the matter, mate?
I am here.
But
I've melted.
you are a puddle on your studio floor, are you?
Yeah, mate. So it's Drewling Samantics featuring Liquid Sam.
Doing Sam. Well, is the tide going to come in? I mean, are you going to solidify at any point?
Well, hang on. And
there he is.
Hello, mate.
Oh.
It's I don't know if you've noticed, it's been quite warm.
Yeah, I do know something. I have noticed. It's been it's been yeah. I know.
Oh, blimey, mate.
I mean, mate, yeah.
Only in Britain can we piss and moan that it's wet and raining and cold and blah blah blah, and then we get heat like on the bloody continent, like we're in south of France or bloody Italy or whatever, and don't we piss and moan again? Jesus!
Yeah. Oh, mate. Oh, the griping that goes on. Griping.
But there is one good way of dealing with the heat, and I don't know if you're ready to deal with it as well. But I've.
Strange you should mention that. Yeah,
it
takes a little bit more in this heat. You see,
a nice cold one. Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Ooh, on the forehead. Lovely job.
but yeah. Anyway, lovely to see you, mate. Have you?
Yes.
How have you been? You've been busy.
I've been struggling through the heat because it has been quite a busy week. Yeah, I've had a very nice week. I've been rehearsing this shoot for the VR project, and
yes.
and shooting that. Which has been interesting in a very warm studio with lots of lights, and also we're wearing a lot of sort of space age lycra. So
nice.
If you can imagine, we're all in sort of Star Trek-esque lycra. You'll understand.
I mean, thinking about it, I'm not sure. So I know because you obviously mentioned it to me, but I'm not sure you've told our listeners and viewers. You've mentioned that you've been rehearsing, but I think you were keeping things sort of on the down low about specific. I'm not sure you've told everyone that it's VR specific.
I know. Well, it's a VR project for a university. I'm being sketchy, but it's set in space, on Mars, and we're all playing, futuristic settlers on Mars.
Okay, yeah,
and it's a VR storyline. To be used as an educational tool, but but in the form of a virtual reality game.
Oh wow! So it's filmed in a different way to what we'd normally be involved in. Then
what we'd normally, yeah. I mean, if you'd imagine we got 2, 3, 4 cameras or one camera. This is just one camera. And I don't know if anybody knows how VR is shot, but it's shot with 2 cameras that are literally a right eye, left eye, and then these are merged over the top, so they become a 3D image. So you are literally in the space.
Yeah.
But everything has to be done in one shot. You can't cut and that because you are literally, it has to be like real life. So, in real life, you don't walk into a room, have a conversation, it cuts, and then you're suddenly on the other side of the room. So in VR, you literally walk from one side of the room or one side of the space to the other. So it's in so much as that the challenges are, you can't, like people say, oh, you do a bit of telly, film, if you dry, just take it again. In this, you got to take it again. But if you dry in the last 10 seconds of a 10-minute scene, you got to do the whole 10 minutes again.
Oh, no.
So the pressure's really on to get it, and all right. So the rehearsals for that have been interesting because we've not been just doing a 2 or 3 minutes of each of a scene, or we run the whole scene. We work the whole scene right the way through each time we rehearse it.
Yeah,
and then go back and discuss it, and then run it right the way through again, because it has to be played in its entirety. So it's quite it's quite disciplined.
Yeah,
I've not done anything like it before, but it's it's good for sort of.
I've not had the opportunity to do that in quite the same way, the sort of 3D element, as you know, but again, people at home probably won't. I did a project quite a few years ago, which was also filmed for VR, but not so much as a VR experience as yours, where it's a video that you watch, or you're immersed in it that way. But this was for a very special project where it was created for an app, and you got the app on your phone, and then you purchased or you got sent like a cardboard kind of almost like an origami thing, a bit IKEA as well, where you sort of fold it together and it created like a set of cardboard goggles.
Oh,
and then you tuck your phone in with the app running, and it does something very similar to 3D, where it had two almost separate pictures running, so your eyes are separated.
Yeah.
But because of that, you became properly immersed, a bit like the Oculus, the proper sort of VR gaming headset.
VR, yeah.
But obviously a version that uses your phone and cardboard. But it was that, so you could look around, and when you move your head, the thing moves with you. But when I did it, it was all done with a 360 camera. So rather than yours, where you're having one eye offset against the other, this thing was incredible. Like, it looks like a dome. You've probably seen them, like a sphere or a dome camera thing. But it takes everything. So wherever you look, and very, very clever. And it was a really kind of heartwarming but quite touching project, because it was all about addiction, actually. And the guy who was creating it had lost someone close to him through addiction. And you use the app and you could make decisions and go which way, and it's very, very cleverly done. So I've been lucky enough to do something that way, but again, very different to what you're doing now. But certainly, this technology has changed our work, hasn't it, a bit?
I mean, it's incredible, because we watched some of the examples of the technique. This is, you say, you shot 360, we're shooting 180, and they showed us some of the examples, and you think, wow, who needs a set? Who needs, because we shot all green screen, and then everything is CGI'd afterwards. Everything is put on afterwards in post. So it's extraordinary technique, but yeah, fascinating stuff. Really fascinating.
So just rehearsing for that, and
rehearsing, and say we've had the first shoot day, and we've got another shoot day coming up. I've had an audition, a nice recall.
Oh, lovely.
A three-hand, very simple, from one extreme to the other. Nice three-hand play, very traditional piece. So that's kept me nice and busy this week. What about yourself?
Well, as you know, I have been doing what I love the most. And not drinking. No, I haven't. No, but anyway, no, I have been, and I cannot believe I'm able to say this, and I'm so excited to say this. I've been back working on a musical, which I'm so happy to be back in that kind of area of theatre and performance, and so we've been workshopping a brand new musical, and I don't know how much I can say about it, really, because it's workshop stage, but it's an incredible show, beautifully written, incredible writers, an amazing musical director, incredible team. The show's called The Truth Stops Here, and it's about a tragedy, which very not well known or little known tragedy that happened during the war, where there was an incident where someone fell or tripped down the steps at Bethnal Green train station, which at the time was being used as an air raid shelter. The line wasn't even in place yet, I believe. And because of the dangerous nature, the steps weren't maintained and there weren't rails and things like that, that resulted in a massive crush and a huge tragedy where well over 150 people lost their lives. It's devastating. And actually, it was, and I might be getting this wrong, but something along these lines. I think the biggest single casualty or single highest number of casualties from any incident during World War II, which is insane to think. That's that the thing more so, we were at war. There was a war, but this killed more people in one go than anything else. And there's huge amounts of information about it, but essentially the musical follows the incident and the fact that the government covered it up. And I believe that it wasn't admitted, or it was hidden in the Official Secrets Act, and it wasn't revealed that it was a proper tragedy. They made it out to sound like there were a few casualties or whatever, but the truth didn't come out, I don't believe, until 2012, which is just insanity. And I believe if you go to Bethnal Green Station, I believe a couple of years ago, a monument was put up, which was, I think it's 19 steps. And that's all it was, I believe, 19 steps that these people fell. And
that's why they lost their lives.
Yeah, huge crush. So, and it's just a hugely touching. There were some lovely, funny moments. The story follows a father and daughter who lose their wife or mum, respectively, and how they deal with it. But at the same time, a young reporter at a paper who wants to report the truth, but how he is stifled by the government. And so, wonderful story. Some real heart-wrencher moments, some real laugh out loud moments. It's only in workshop stage at the moment, or it's finished. We've just done the workshop on it, but hopefully it will develop further. And fingers crossed, I'll get the opportunity to be in it again when it goes sort of mainstream. But it's just been the most incredible week or so, being able to be back in a rehearsal room with a group of people and doing what I absolutely adore doing, and creating amazing theatre.
We are. I mean, I suppose it's because we're at this turning point now, aren't we? You know, where we hope that we've turned that corner and gone, looking forward with all the restrictions dropping down. I mean, it's interesting because I went to a couple of rehearsal spaces while we've been rehearsing, and in both instances, everybody is observing the rules, and that we're all in closed spaces or whatever, but windows are open and there's hand sanitizer everywhere, and it does work. Everybody's I mean, I've been on the tubes, and I was quite reluctant to go on the tubes, but heartened to see that I'd say 98% of people are wearing masks. People are using hand sanitizer, and I think that's sort of using one's discretion and being respectful. I'm heartened that in most cases it seems to be working. Otherwise, we will never turn the corner, I guess.
I think it's an inevitable topic, being that we are now 1 week on, give or take, from Freedom Day, as it's been called, and you obviously couldn't avoid the images in the media of people queuing outside clubs at midnight on Sunday, ready to go in Monday and not have to worry about things, and inevitably you're going to get lots of people that go, right, well, it's done, so life is back to normal. I think it's far from that. I appreciate, obviously, that legally a lot of things have changed, and a lot of things cannot be enforced in perhaps the same ways. Not
That's
sure I personally agree. I'm not sure I personally agree with a lot of the decisions that have been made and the timing. I know it's very difficult. I know if not now, then when kind of scenario, and what do you do? But personally, I just think maybe it's still too early. However, I think that my view there is shared, or at least considered, by a huge majority of people. And as you say, yes, TfL, Transport for London, have come out and said, right, well, yes, the rules have lifted, but we are still saying, wear your masks, please, be safe, do this, do that. They can't enforce it. There is nowhere near the manpower that's required. But fortunately, from what you're saying and from what I seem to have noticed, the majority, and the vast majority, are embracing that and going, yes, we're now allowed to, or we're not legally required to do this, that, and the other. And yes, certain things can't be enforced. But actually, we weren't only doing it because the government said so. A lot of us were doing it because there is science behind it, and the reasons behind it is we want to stay safe. And I think that goes across the board. I've been into shops and pubs or whatever and places over the last week or so, and there are still huge amounts of people wearing masks, keeping distance. And again, it's not what the law states has to happen, but I think it's so important that if people believe that it's still the right thing to do, that they do carry on. And yes, lifting certain restrictions has enabled businesses to come back. And certainly from our perspective, as we've been saying, although we're still wearing masks when we have to, keeping socially distant, minimal contact, daily testing. I'm sure you're daily testing as I have been for the musical.
Yeah.
Although we're doing all those things, we are now able to perhaps be in spaces that we couldn't be in before, because you just couldn't cater for that many people and be happy that you were safely distancing or safely managing those amount of people. And things like weddings and funerals and other stuff that can now happen with less restrictions, as long as people are being safe, sensible, and not kind of ignoring it. Let's face it, what Monday represented was a changing in the rules. It didn't mean that the unwelcome guest is gone. That's not what Monday was. And I think you're going to get people that will behave that way. It's unavoidable. But I think the general public seem to be rallying together and going, yes, we can get away with not wearing a mask, but it's not that much of a problem. And actually, even not for me, but if there are vulnerable people out there, why shouldn't I help them out too? So
I think that's that. I've noticed, like you say, people are being sensible. I mean, and I think there's still a respect for the unwelcome guest. We know it hasn't gone away, still there. But I think people are it's like, well, if let's meet each other halfway. If it means getting things open, if it means being able to go to to clubs and pubs and theatres and cinemas and restaurants today, do it. It makes sense, because if we don't do this, if we don't sort of deal with it, then we're just going to be in a perpetual circle.
It can't go on forever. It can't go on forever. No.
But it's the other thing, of course, at the other end of the scale, which is people getting pinged and being told to isolate. Does that mean, I don't know, does that mean the test and trace is working now and we would it should have happened some time ago, or does it mean that test and trace is suddenly come online and we're all going, oh, right then?
It's
an interesting one, isn't it?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I have no idea. I don't understand. I don't understand the system. I get that the point is that your phone can tell if you've been near someone else who is tested positive, and then it's suggesting to you that you need to isolate. But I've not really ever understood it from the start, because it says that you need to isolate, but other people that you are around all the time don't need to, which seems counterproductive to me. But I mean, maybe I'm not understanding it properly.
I know.
Who knows?
I know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, because there are lots of things. I mean, the Olympics are starting, and we've seen running up to the start of the Olympics, teams saying, okay, we're not this person's got to go home, that person's got to go home. We can't, as with the England players in UEFA, they got to isolate, got to be done. Can't you got to isolate for 10 days. The games are over. I mean, there was one athlete, she's I think she was a medal medalist, and she'd been a silver medalist, skeet shooter she was. Oh, right, and she said, I've practiced for 5 years, I've trained for 5 years, and it's all over. I've got to go home. And she was was a medal hopeful. It's such a shame, but I mean,
devastating for those people. Devastating.
Absolutely.
But it's a safety thing, and
it is.
I can't even begin to imagine how it must feel for someone that's gone through so much and done whatever. But
I mean, I can't
surely that comes first.
I don't know. I mean, but we can all sympathize to a degree and imagine, because we all had our lives stopped 18 months ago, whenever it was, so and I was, we were all in the middle of things, as we've discussed ad infinitum, but it's got to happen. And I think for me, that thing of so many hundreds of people, or so many hundreds of thousands of people, or whatever, have got to isolate, they can't go to work, from their lives come, it makes you go, well, let's do it then. It just brings you up short and go, I mean, I'm walking around with bottles that have, hand sanitizer and my mask, and, in and out of shot. And I think if that's what it takes, then fine, because you know, it eventually, you know, we will knock it on the head, you know.
Yeah.
But,
And I'll tell you what, I think, because we're potentially in danger of doing a show where we don't talk about anything theatrical or performance based at all. We've got off on it. But to bring it slightly back to our usual sort of regime per se, you look at theatres, and yes, we have reached a point where the government have said, right, masks are no longer 100% required, or they are no longer enforceable, or whatever their specific terminology is. But I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that all the London theatres, particularly West End, have come out and said, okay, we appreciate that. However, we're going to still say, no, you have to wear a mask inside.
I think you're right.
And I think that's fantastic. I do. I think it's tough because, and I believe they're still keeping distancing to certain extents and things. And because of that, they will be clipping their takings and making the financial side a lot more difficult.
Massively.
But absolutely for the right reasons. Like, yes, there are scenarios where you now don't have to wear a mask anymore, and perhaps that is a big relief. And yes, there are businesses that have only just been able to open at this point. But those that have been able to open, and I think it applies to lots of supermarkets and stuff as well. And I know lots of independent places will also ask the same. For example, I know a guy who's a tattoo artist, and he has point blank said, I'm only tattooing if you've got a mask on. Because from his point of view, if his phone pings, he's got to self-isolate, he's self-employed, he can't furlough, he hasn't got sick pay or whatever. But on a bigger scale, for the theatres, for them to be able to be like that, I think it is incredibly powerful and a wonderful gesture to go, yes, we know we don't have to, but we want to keep our patrons safe. And that's what
it's good as well, because we you know, the industry was screaming and screaming and screaming, please open the theatres. And now we've got them open, but it's good to see that, okay, we're not going to go mad. We're not going to say, you know, we could be responsible. I think it's kind of leading from the front. I mean, it has affected people. I mean, Ian McKellen's Hamlet, they lost a couple of actors the other day. You know, and
big one in the news is ALW, Andrew Lloyd Webber, isn't it?
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
They closed. Is it Cinderella?
Yeah.
Which gutting, because after he's fought so hard for the industry to reopen and everything, and then because I think only was it one person that tested positive?
I think it was one.
So they've had to close, and I don't know how long for. Is it just the 10 days, or is it? I don't know. But it's devastating. But again, for the right reasons, and it's kind of got a shame that.
Yeah, I mean,
as you're saying, what theatres are doing now is exhibiting the fact that now they're allowed to open, they're still continuing with the rules, which kind of goes to show they could have opened a while ago.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the ironic thing, isn't it? That, but you know, it's allowing the vaccinations to take place. It's allowing everything, you know, to catch up. And if we do have this limited, you know, restrictions and that, and we can survive and move on, and then, you know, drip feed, you know, more liberties, as it were, then I think we're in a position to be able to get back to. I mean, I've got I would have told you, I will tell you again in what I've got coming up, but I mean, I've got a Fawlty Towers show with my mate Ed and Verona playing Sibs. And that's been held over for 2 years. I think it's a guy's birthday, and we couldn't do it one year, we couldn't do it last, and we can do it this year. And you know, but then, you know, it's like, we can do the show, but we're going to do it slightly differently. We're going to take this into account. We were saying, okay, we normally pass some of the people microphones to use. No, we'll do it without. You know, so you have to, like we did with the, you know, with the show.
If you haven't seen, ladies and gents,
absolutely,
watching, listening, we did a special segment on a recent episode. I can't remember which episode it was, mate. Was it?
I can't.
Was it our first one back this season? Was it episode? I can't remember.
Oh, I'm gonna, yeah.
But we did a special segment where we went live on scene to Drew and Sam on a set or ready to perform a show, which was rather surreal. But as you say, we took all sorts of precautions, and we still are with those kind of shows that we're doing at the moment, wearing visors. So yes, we're not masked in the same way, because then you couldn't see our mouths and you wouldn't be able to hear us very well, but we're wearing visors to protect the audience are spaced out more in these restaurants and things, and they don't get up and wander around, or they can't just, it's table service. And I think a lot of that will continue, where venues are able to cater like that. And I think we will continue to make sure that we are being as safe as possible for ourselves, but more importantly for those people who are then able to go to the theatre, to come and watch a show, to support the industry and bring it back without.
I mean, it's going to make things. It's going to make things like it's going to make like talk. I mean, in effect, when we do the dinner shows, we are on tour. There's only three of us, and we're going into somewhere that is unpredictable. So we have to be prepared to change. But if you imagine touring a show, taking theatre on, you're going to a venue that is already prepared. It's saying we're doing this, and this. Everyone takes does their COVID test. We go in, the audience are prepared to wear their masks and socially distance, and we all do the mental calculations of we're losing a bit of money on this, but it does mean that we can start getting shows on the road again, which
and being out there and being able to do it, albeit at reduced capacity, is a hell of a lot better than not doing it at all.
It's good for us, but it's also good for theaters that depend on venues that depend on shows going in, that are not necessarily producing houses themselves, but their lifeblood is shows going in, and being there for several days, a weekend, a week, or whatever, and their audience is going, oh, we can go back to the theater now,
and people have been clamoring for
lifeblood.
Like this, I think. We mentioned a long time back, I think, early on in season 1, how perhaps there's an element of people taking things for granted with regards to Netflix and Amazon and all the other streaming things, because you can just be sat at home and there is a world of TV and film at your fingertips. However, I think as time has gone on, people have realized just how much they've missed cinema, missed theatre, missed live performance, music, comedy, all those things that we've been prevented from doing, rightly so, because it wasn't safe to do them. Now we're in a position where we can safely do them, but we can enhance that safety by people still following previous rules that perhaps are not enforceable now, but are still very much advised by those with the scientific brains and knowledge that can give us the kind of yay or nay on whether things are making a difference.
I mean, it's if you go to the theatre, I mean, there are so many, I mean, us working, is good for, sandwich bars and restaurants and late night, places to eat, actors alike, and bar and pubs. But also,
the pub across the road from the theatre, that's
pub across the road
generic.
I mean, but also, if you think of people going out, a family, or just a couple going to the theatre, the offshoots of that. I mean, obviously, we know this now. We've heard about how businesses have suffered, but those that they're springing back up again. But also, it's the social atmosphere, the social aspect of going to the theatre and being there with several hundred people, in a mix, in a space. You think, well, that's good for if you can get large groups of people together. Hopefully, fingers crossed, behaving well together, then that is, that's good for society. And we've seen the shit elements that, pardon my French, on the, the Euros and that. And I think everybody's gone. They were very quick to condemn that, and rightly so. But it was good to see people condemning that and going, no, we can't have that.
No,
I think
absolutely.
That's,
and the thought of just life feeling like there are options and opportunities again. I think from a social and mental health point of view as well, to be able to go, yes, I can go and see someone. Yes, and for those who are particularly vulnerable, knowing that although things have changed and the rules are relaxed, knowing that the majority of people are still conscious and concerned and making the right moves so that those who are vulnerable are still safe. It's huge, so powerful.
It's massively huge.
And as I say, wherever I've gone in this past week, it's not felt like anything has changed. Masks are still hugely prevalent.
Yeah,
distancing, people are still being considerate, and you will always get elements that aren't, and that's unavoidable. But fortunately, I think this is great news for theatres, for touring, for people doing gigs, comedy, music, everything that we've been missing is now being given the opportunity to resume to a point. So I couldn't be happier about it, as long as people do continue to off their own backs be safe, which they seem to be.
I think so. Yeah. Good.
But,
now I've spotted something here.
Oh God! What have I done? Is this?
No. I mean, I don't mean to, demean the conversation we just had, because I think it's very important. But I've spotted a segue.
Oh, what? You've spotted it and I've missed it.
Yeah, you missed this. I'm going to say 2 words or 2 or 3 words, and you'll get this.
Well, go on.
Guest Rob tour.
Oh, yeah. Do you know? I even said the words gigging and music and concerts, and
that's when I picked it up, mate.
There we go. So for those of you that are a bit lost at this point, last week we had the incredible Rob Jones TV join us, multi-instrumentalist, musician, singer, actor extraordinaire, presenter, producer. I mean, there is nothing really the man doesn't do and do well.
Sickening, isn't it?
Yeah. Painfully so. And he was an absolute joy to have on the show. I mean, if you thought Drew and I had lots of energy, you want to watch it if you haven't yet, because Rob is like bouncing off the walls. He's mad.
Absolutely.
But it was brilliant to have him on. And not only that, but he very generously brought us some prizes for our competition last week. Now, the reason Drew saying about gigging or referencing the segue is prevalent is because Rob is a member of the incredible Missing Andy, the band, who I believe are back touring very soon. Rob did give us some dates, didn't he, actually? So
yeah, he did. I think,
off the top of my head. But as you say,
all
ties in quite nicely, because he's able now to go back out touring with a band. And to encourage people to go along and watch, we are giving, or Rob kindly allowed us to give away some Missing Andy merchandise. Now, I think there's a T-shirt, a couple of CDs, some flyers, wristbands, various other bits and pieces. So last week, we gave the simple instructions, or after I fumbled around and messed everything up, we eventually explained how to enter. So we have collected all the names together that sort of ticked all the boxes. You had to follow us, follow Rob, and like or share the image of Drew, Rob, and I. So we've got that list of names, or should I say Drew's got that list of names. And we've reached that wonderful moment where Drew now springs on us just what he's got to draw a winner today. So here we go. Over to you.
My cogs have been turning, and I've found this.
There's a link here. What are you up to? Right,
hang on, mate. If I just, I found this little machine, and listen to this. This is great. I don't know if you can hear that, but in the background, under my voice, is my little random.
Oh, hang on, there. No, I can see it now. There it is.
You got it. There you go. You see, there it is.
It looks like now this will be going back, and this might be slightly after your generation and before a lot of people who's listening. But do you remember Big Bertha?
Oh, yes.
It was like a almost like a cartoon, but not cartoon, animation thing about a big machine that made things. And I mean, not quite comparable, but this looks a little bit similar. But I'm assuming this is going to pick our winner, is it?
This is going to pick our winner. See what I've done in my machine.
Right.
I have. I'm going to make with Big Drew here, I'm going to make our winner. So what I've done is I've good on it. You see where I'm going? Just hang on a minute.
So have you got all those names? Have you?
Yeah, here we are. I'll turn that off for a second. Because so I've got all the names. So our names are. Let me just read these out. So into my little machine, my Big Drew has gone Simon Jones, Verona Chard, Jules 1000, Darren Tassel. That name rings a bell. Rudders 6318, Adriano, Derry Dimmock, Mika Nisola. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Roberta Delius. And Lauren C. Moore.
So those are the people who ticked all the boxes or did all the required elements. So so now then it's over to Little Drew and Big Drew between them to pick us a winner, I guess.
So there we are. Let's just turn my machine on. Here we go. Let me get. There we are. Oh, I didn't get much cogging, but it did produce that little ding, that little machine.
There we go.
There.
And the winner is
our winner. It is Jules 1000.
Jules 1000. Congratulations. There you go. You are the lucky recipient, or you will be the lucky recipient of some amazing Missing Andy merchandise. We hope that it enables you to go and watch them at the gig and stand out in the crowd. Please, I was thinking this the other day, and I don't know if you saw, Drew, but we did a competition a little while back with, in fact, it was the beginning of this season, our first guest, young David. Who's David Fisher, folk musician, and he gave away a signed book and CD. And we actually got tagged on Instagram by the lucky winner, a chap called Will, who put a picture. Did you see? He put a picture up of showing his winnings had arrived. And winnings. That was lovely. So to any of our other winners of competitions, please do tag us, show off your prize. And in this case, Jules 1000, maybe take a picture of yourself at a Missing Andy gig wearing your Missing Andy t-shirt if you can manage it. That'd be amazing. We'll try and include it in our social media. But anyway, congratulations, Jules 1000. As with all our competitions, nice and simple. All you need to do is ping us an email, drewlingsamantics@gmail.com. Should be scrolling across, I think, down there. Ping us an email letting us know that you are the lucky winner. We'll make sure, obviously, that everything ties up and you are who you say you are, and then we'll get your prizes sent out to you. So congratulations, and a big thanks to Rob and Missing Andy for providing us with those amazing prizes, and Jules with those amazing prizes. So well
and Big Drew for
thank you, Big Drew. Combination of Little Drew and Big Drew has drawn our winner today. But
sorry about that. Sorry.
Do you know what, mate? We have ended up on an inevitable topic, which we've done in the past, of course, when Freedom Day was delayed. But I think we've managed to have a discussion about theatre and about performance and go completely off topic and come back round anyway with your lovely segue. And then we find ourselves back at a point where we've gone, isn't it amazing? Here's a lovely giveaway, a big positive moment, lots of positives in the industry, a couple of small negatives, but we're fighting around those. And this hopefully is the start of things to come, and life returning to familiarity and just being something that we can really be passionate about and really kind of just a community again, and a happy, safe community. And
it is a community. It's a really good word, that, because I think it is an up curve, and we're coming out of a very, very, I mean, for some people, very dark times, but for some of us, just very awkward and frustrating and worrying times. But it is creating the community spirit. It's putting all those little bits of the jigsaw puzzle back together again. It's walking through the streets, and I was going to the Tube, and my little local coffee kiosk, he was back open with a big smile on his face, and he's giving away a free pastry with every coffee to get. He's thinking, that's nice, and to see all those little things that have been missing because we haven't had them. Yeah, let alone for us, going to shows, but it's all that makes a community.
And opportunities now coming, and people able to do things, and just life having more freedom. And I don't mean in the way of taking your mask off or whatever,
No.
but being able to travel for work more, being able to be in places and places being open. And things like film sets and whatever. And speaking of, I mean, I guess what have you got coming up? So we're talking about all these opportunities suddenly appearing and things being open. Has that affected what you've got coming up? I'm sure it has.
Well, yes, it has, because like I said, I've got the second day's filming to finish the VR project next week. That probably wouldn't have happened because the number of people that are going to have to be in the room, the number of, technical people, we're all, I mean, and the number of COVID tests I've done, over the past couple of weeks is ridiculous. It's second nature now to get up an extra half an hour, 40 minutes early in the morning and, stuff things down my throat and up my nose and, don't
fetishize it. Don't end up doing it when we don't have to.
No, I'm not going to get used to it. But yeah, we couldn't have had the number of people in the room working as closely as we are without, I'm doing this. I say we the birthday party, the Fawlty Towers gig that was held over. Now we can have, he can have his family together, this gentleman, to celebrate his birthday with us, that's going to make him happy, and certainly his wife, who's been trying to organize his party for him for 2 bloody years. He's going to be, I don't think he still doesn't have an inkling that we're going to be there.
It's a surprise as well. Incredible.
It's the surprise. So that is, imagine, it's going to be a family reunion on his birthday, belated though it may be. It's going to put a smile on people's faces. Amazing. So again, we wouldn't have been able to do that, so yeah. And, the spin-off of all that for me as well is I'm back working. So that is that a purely, practical point of view, I'm working again.
Yeah. So well, likewise. I mean, I've not got quite such a busy week ahead this week because I'm doing lots of admin and preparations and stuff. But as you know,
but you will have.
Well, yeah, because the following week off I go. I'm on set for 3 weeks solid, pretty much. And this film that I've been talking about forever, probably people at home have gone, when is he going to get it done and out of the way? So he stopped rabbiting on about it. But yeah, so finally, we've had numerous Zoom call rehearsals and phone calls and whatever else and preparation, but I will be on set from next week. So not the week coming, the week after that. But yeah, so a less busy week, but next week, another guest. We've got another guest show, and could I just? I know what you're going to say, but it's not just any guest, is it? Oh no. This is something that we have never done before.
Careful what you say.
I don't know the best way of putting it without giving things away. But let's just say the guest. What you're going to see, we have not had anyone like this before for a very special reason, and they are going to be it's going to be an episode you're going to want to see.
You're going to love them. You're going to love them.
Yeah, gonna love them, definitely. But yeah, so looking forward to that. Looking forward to the film starting in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to just work being back and feeling like the industry is open. And
big smile on my face. Big smile on my face.
Well, let's keep those smiles going, Drew, and hopefully it'll still be there next week. But till then, my friend, big cheers.
Till then, mate.
And
cheers.
Thank you, everyone at home. We'll see you very soon. Take care.
See you soon, everyone.
Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends, and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.